Libya, officially known as the State of Libya, is a North African country with a rich and complex history spanning thousands of years. Located in the Maghreb region, Libya is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to the north, Egypt to the east, Sudan to the southeast, Chad and Niger to the south, and Algeria and Tunisia to the west. This strategic position has made Libya a crossroads of civilizations, trade routes, and cultural exchange throughout history. Archaeological evidence suggests that Libya has been inhabited since prehistoric times. The Sahara Desert, which now covers much of southern Libya, was once a fertile region with rivers, lakes, and abundant wildlife. Rock art found in the Fezzan region and other areas depicts hunting scenes, cattle herding, and daily life from as early as 12,000 BCE. The gradual desertification of the Sahara around 3000 BCE forced many inhabitants to migrate toward the Mediterranean coast and the Nile Valley. The coastal regions of Libya were inhabited by Berber peoples, who established various tribal confederations. The Greeks founded the city of Cyrene in 631 BCE, which became the capital of the region known as Cyrenaica. This Greek colony flourished as a center of learning and trade, producing philosophers like Aristippus and becoming famous for its silphium plant, a valuable medicinal herb that was so important it appeared on Cyrenaic coins. The western region, known as Tripolitania, saw the establishment of Phoenician trading posts, including Oa Sabratha and Leptis Magna. These cities became crucial links in Mediterranean trade networks, connecting sub-Saharan Africa with Europe and the Middle East. Libya became part of the Romang Empire in the 1st century BCE. Under Romang rule, the region experienced significant prosperity and development. Leptis Magna, the birthplace of Emperor Septimius Severus, became one of the most magnificent cities in the Romang Empire, featuring elaborate temples, theaters, and public baths. The Romans built extensive infrastructure, including roads, aqueducts, and fortifications, some of which remain visible today. The Romans organized the territory into provinces, Tripolitania in the west, Cyrenaica in the east, and Fezzan in the south. Agriculture flourished, with Libya becoming a major supplier of olive oil, wheat, and other commodities to Rome. The region also served as a launching point for trans-Saharan trade expeditions. Christianity spread throughout Libya during the Roman period, with important early Christian communities emerging in Cyrenaica and Tripolitania. However, the region also experienced periods of instability, including conflicts with desert tribes and the devastating effects of the Antonine Plague in the 2nd century CE. Following the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Libya became part of the Byzantine Empire. This period was marked by decline, as the region faced frequent attacks from desert tribes and struggled with economic difficulties. The Byzantine administration was often weak and corrupt, leading to further deterioration of urban centers and infrastructure. The Arab conquest of Libya began in 642 CE under the leadership of Amr ibn al-As. The Muslim armies faced initial resistance from Byzantine forces and local Berber tribes, but by 647 CE, most of Libya was under Islamic control. The conversion to Islam was gradual, with many Berber tribes initially maintaining their traditional beliefs alongside Islamic practices. The introduction of Islam brought significant changes to Libyan society. Arabic became the dominant language, Islamic law was implemented, and new trade networks connected Libya to the broader Islamic world. The region became an important stopping point for pilgrims traveling to Mecca and for merchants crossing the Sahara. Libya was ruled by various Islamic dynasties throughout the medieval period. The Fatimids controlled the region from 969 to 1171 CE, followed by the Ayyubids and then the Mamluks. Each dynasty brought different administrative systems, architectural styles, and cultural influences. During this period, Libya experienced a golden age of Islamic scholarship and culture. Cities like Tripoli and Benghazi became centers of Islamic learning, with numerous madrasas and libraries. The region also played a crucial role in trans-Saharan trade, with Libyan merchants establishing trading posts throughout West Africa. The 11th century saw the arrival of the Banu Hilal and Banu Sulaim, Arab Bedouin tribes who migrated westward from Egypt. These migrations significantly altered Libya's demographic and cultural landscape, strengthening Arab identity and pastoral nomadism. The Bedouin tribes established powerful confederations that often challenged central authority and controlled vast territories in the interior. The Ottoman Empire conquered Libya in 1551, incorporating it into the Ottoman administrative system. The Ottomans divided Libya into 3 provinces: Tripolitania, Cyrenaica, and Fezzan. Initially, the region was governed directly from Istanbul, but the Ottomans gradually granted more autonomy to local rulers. The Ottoman period brought relative stability and prosperity to Libya. Trade flourished, with Libyan merchants playing important roles in Mediterranean and trans-Saharan commerce. The Ottomans also undertook significant infrastructure projects, including the construction of mosques, schools, and fortifications. In 1711, Muammar Karamanli, an Ottoman officer of Turkish Arab descent, seized power in Tripoli and established a hereditary dynasty that ruled Libya for over a century. The Karamanlis maintained nominal allegiance to the Ottoman Empire while exercising considerable independence. Under Karamanli rule, Libya became a major center of Mediterranean piracy and corsair activity. Libyan corsairs attacked European merchant ships, capturing goods and enslaving crew members. This activity brought wealth to the ruling elite but also led to conflicts with European powers and the United States, culminating in the Barbary Wars. The Karamanli period also saw the expansion of trans-Saharan trade, with Libyan merchants establishing trading networks that extended deep into sub-Saharan Africa. The dynasty invested in infrastructure, including the construction of palaces, mosques, and public buildings in Tripoli. Economic difficulties, tribal revolts, and pressure from European powers led to the collapse of the Karamanli dynasty in 1835. The Ottoman Empire reasserted direct control over Libya, implementing administrative reforms and attempting to modernize the region. However, Ottoman rule in Libya remained relatively weak, with large areas controlled by autonomous tribal leaders. The 19th century saw the emergence of the Senusiyya, a Sufi Islamic movement founded by Muhammad ibn Ali al-Senussi in 1837. The Senusiyya established a network of religious lodges throughout Libya and neighboring regions, providing education, social services, and spiritual guidance. The movement became particularly influential in Cyrenaica and played a crucial role in organizing resistance against foreign occupation. Italy invaded Libya in 1911, launching the Italo-Turkish War. Despite initial Ottoman and local resistance, the Italians occupied the main coastal cities and forced the Ottoman Empire to cede Libya through the Treaty of Auchi in 1912. However, Italian control was initially limited to coastal areas, with the interior remaining under the control of tribal leaders and the Senusiyya movement. The Italian colonization of Libya was brutal and exploitative. The colonial administration implemented policies designed to benefit Italian settlers at the expense of the local population. Large tracts of fertile land were confiscated and given to Italian colonists, forcing many Libyans into poverty and marginal lands. Libyan resistance to Italian rule was fierce and prolonged. The Senusiyya movement, led by figures like Omar al-Mukhtar, organized guerrilla warfare against Italian forces. The resistance was particularly strong in Cyrenaica, where the Senusiyya had deep roots and extensive popular support. The Italian response was brutal, involving the use of concentration camps, chemical weapons, and systematic destruction of villages and agricultural areas. It is estimated that the Italian colonial period resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Libyans through warfare, displacement, and disease. Under fascist rule, Italian colonization of Libya intensified. The fascist government implemented ambitious settlement programs, bringing thousands of Italian colonists to Libya. The construction of infrastructure, including roads, railways, and buildings, was undertaken primarily to serve Italian interests. During World War II, Libya became a major theater of operations in the North African campaign. The region witnessed fierce battles between Axis and Allied forces, with cities like Tobruk and Benghazi changing hands multiple times. The war caused significant destruction and displacement, further devastating the Libyan population. Following the defeat of Axis forces in 1943, Libya was occupied by British and French forces. The post-war period was marked by uncertainty about Libya's future, with various proposals for partition, trusteeship, or independence being debated by the Allied powers and the United Nations. The Libyan people, led by nationalist leaders and tribal chiefs, strongly advocated for independence. The Sanusiya movement, under the leadership of Idris al-Sanusi, played a crucial role in mobilizing support for independence and presenting a unified Libyan position to the international community. On December 24, 1951, Libya gained independence as the United Kingdom of Libya, with Idris al-Sanusi as king. The new state was a federal monarchy consisting of 3 provinces: Tripolitania, Cyrenaica, and Fezzan. The capital alternated between Tripoli and Benghazi, reflecting the federal structure and regional differences. The early years of independence were challenging, as Libya was one of the poorest countries in the world, with limited infrastructure, low literacy rates, and a largely nomadic population. The economy was primarily based on agriculture and traditional handicrafts, with limited industrial development. The discovery of oil in 1959 transformed Libya's economy and society. Oil revenues provided the government with unprecedented wealth, enabling massive infrastructure development, education expansion, and social programs. However, the oil wealth also created new challenges, including corruption, inequality, and dependence on a single commodity. The oil boom attracted international attention and investment, but also increased tensions between different regions and social groups. The traditional elite, centered in Cyrenaica and associated with the monarchy, found themselves challenged by emerging urban, educated classes and military officers. By the 1960s, King Idris's monarchy faced increasing opposition from various groups. Arab nationalists, inspired by Gamal Abdel Nasser's Egypt, criticized the monarchy's close ties to Western powers and its perceived failure to support Arab causes. Young military officers, influenced by Arab nationalist ideology, began planning to overthrow the monarchy. The monarchy's federal structure also created tensions between different regions, with disputes over oil revenues and political representation. The king's advanced age and lack of a clear succession plan added to the political uncertainty. On September 1, 1969, a group of young military officers led by Muammar Gaddafi staged a bloodless coup, overthrowing the monarchy and establishing the Libyan Arab Republic. The Free Officers Movement, as they called themselves, was inspired by Arab nationalist ideology and sought to transform Libya into a progressive socialist state. Gaddafi, who emerged as the leader of the revolution, was only 27 years old at the time of the coup. He and his fellow officers were motivated by a desire to end foreign influence in Libya, redistribute oil wealth, and promote Arab unity and socialism. The new government implemented sweeping reforms, including the nationalization of foreign oil companies, the expulsion of foreign military bases, and the redistribution of land. The regime also invested heavily in education, healthcare, and infrastructure development, significantly improving living standards for many Libyans. Gaddafi's government adopted a strongly anti-Western and anti-Israeli stance, supporting various liberation movements and revolutionary groups around the world. Libya became a major supporter of the Palestinian cause and provided assistance to various African liberation movements. In the 1970s, Gaddafi developed his own political philosophy, outlined in the Green Book, which he claimed was a third way between capitalism and socialism. In 1977, Libya was transformed into the Great Socialist People's Libyan Arab Jamahiriya, a system of direct democracy based on popular committees and people's congresses. The Jamahiriya system was supposed to give power directly to the people, but in practice, Gaddafi and his inner circle maintained tight control over the state. The system created a complex bureaucracy that often hindered efficient governance and economic development. Libya's support for international terrorism and its development of chemical weapons led to increasing international isolation. The 1988 Lockerbie bombing, attributed to Libyan agents, resulted in comprehensive UN sanctions that severely damaged the Libyan economy and isolated the country diplomatically. The sanctions period was particularly difficult for ordinary Libyans, who faced shortages of essential goods, deteriorating infrastructure, and limited access to international markets. The regime's authoritarian nature also intensified during this period, with increased repression of political opposition and civil society. In the early 2000s, Gaddafi began a process of international rehabilitation, abandoning Libya's weapons of mass destruction programs and accepting responsibility for the Lockerbie bombing. The lifting of sanctions in 2003 led to renewed international investment and attempts at economic reform. However, despite some liberalization measures, the Gaddafi regime remained fundamentally authoritarian. Political opposition continued to be suppressed and corruption remained widespread. The benefits of oil wealth were not evenly distributed, leading to growing inequality and social tensions. The 2011 Arab Spring reached Libya in February, when protests began in Benghazi and quickly spread across the country. The regime's violent crackdown on protesters led to a full-scale civil war, with rebel forces controlling large areas of the country and seeking international support. The international community, led by NATO, intervened militarily to support the rebels and protect civilians. The intervention proved decisive, and by October 2011, Gaddafi's regime had collapsed. Gaddafi himself was killed in Sirte in October 2011, ending over 4 decades of his rule. The post-Gaddafi period has been marked by political instability, armed conflict, and state collapse. The transitional government struggled to establish effective institutions, disarm militia groups, and maintain national unity. Elections in 2012 and 2014 failed to produce stable governments, and the country became divided between rival administrations. The proliferation of armed groups, many with regional or tribal affiliations, has made it difficult to establish central authority. The weakness of state institutions has also facilitated the growth of extremist groups, including ISIS, which established a presence in several Libyan cities. As of 2024, Libya remains divided and unstable, with ongoing conflicts between different factions and foreign interventions complicating efforts at reconciliation. The country's vast oil wealth continues to be a source of conflict, with different groups seeking to control oil facilities and revenues. International efforts to mediate between Libyan factions have had limited success, although there have been some positive developments, including ceasefires and agreements on oil revenue sharing. The Libyan people continue to face significant challenges, including insecurity, economic hardship, and the breakdown of public services. Libya's history reflects the complex interplay of geography, culture, and politics in North Africa. From ancient civilizations to Islamic empires, from Ottoman rule to Italian colonialism, from independence to revolution, Libya has experienced dramatic transformations that have shaped its national identity and contemporary challenges. The country's strategic location, vast oil reserves, and diverse population have made it both a prize for foreign powers and a crossroads of civilizations. Understanding Libya's rich historical legacy is essential for comprehending its current struggles and future possibilities. The Libyan people's resilience throughout centuries of change suggests that, despite current challenges, the country has the potential to overcome its difficulties and build a more stable and prosperous future.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.